How I forgave my betrayer. Betrayed by my best friend, I lost everything. My dream, my trust, my hope. But what if forgiveness could set me free? This is my story. The shattering. The rain lashed against my apartment windows in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. A relentless assault that mirrored the chaos in my chest. I sat on the edge of my thrift store couch, its leather cracked from years of use, staring at my phone. The screen glowed with a message that tore my world apart. "Emma, I'm so sorry. It was me. I shared your project idea with them." The words were from Jake, my best friend since our awkward high school days in Tacoma. Jake, who'd been my rock through my mom's cancer battle, my late-night rants about the tech world, my wild dreams of building something that mattered. My hands trembled as I reread the text, praying it was a glitch, a cruel joke. But it wasn't. Jake had betrayed me. My project, a mental health app called Mindhaven, designed to connect users with affordable therapists, was my lifeline. For 2 years I'd poured every spare hour into it, sketching wireframes on napkins, coding until dawn, perfecting the pitch deck. I'd shared every detail with Jake. The algorithm for matching users, the freemium model, the vision to make therapy accessible. Last week, I'd pitched to a group of venture capitalists in Bellevue, my heart racing with hope. They'd listen politely, then drop the bomb. They'd already funded a nearly identical app from a rival team. I'd been devastated, but I never suspected Jake. Until now, I dropped the phone and pressed my palms to my eyes, trying to stop the tears. The rain outside roared, drowning out the hum of the city. How could he do this? Jake, who'd brought me coffee during all-nighters, who'd cheered louder than anyone when I won a coding hackathon. Why? I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I paced my tiny apartment, replaying a decade of friendship. The time Jake drove me to the ER when I sprained my ankle. The summer we binged Stranger Things and argued about plot holes. The late-night talks about our fears, mine of failure, his of being stuck in a dead-end job. Where had I gone wrong? By morning, my grief had hardened into rage. I blocked Jake's number, deleted his messages, and swore I'd never speak to him again. Forgiveness wasn't even a word in my vocabulary. The weight of anger. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and defiance. I threw myself into salvaging Mindhaven, working late into the night to pivot the app's focus to mindfulness exercises, hoping to differentiate it from the stolen version. But every step was haunted by Jake's betrayal. Every bug in the code, every rejected pitch, every "we're not interested" email felt like his hand pushing me down. My anger grew like ivy wrapping around my heart, choking out joy, trust, and hope. My older sister Sarah saw the change. One rainy Saturday, we met at a coffee shop near Pike Place Market, the air thick with the scent of espresso and cinnamon. Sarah, with her no-nonsense ponytail and nurse's scrubs, reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Emma, you're not yourself. You're carrying something heavy. Spill it." I told her everything. Jake's confession, the stolen app, the investors. Her hazel eyes widened, then softened with sympathy. "That's awful," she said, her voice low. "But this anger, it's poisoning you more than him." "I can't just let it go," I snapped, stirring my latte so hard it sloshed. "He ruined everything." Sarah leaned back, thoughtful. "Maybe not forgive him yet. But don't let his mistake define you. You're Emma freaking Thompson. You're stronger than this." Her words lingered, but I wasn't ready to hear them. I wanted justice, not peace. I wanted Jake to feel the weight of what he'd done. So I kept my walls up, my heart guarded, and my anger burning. I stopped going to trivia nights with our mutual friends, avoided our favorite taco truck, and deleted every photo of us from my phone. Jake was a ghost, and I was determined to keep him that way. But the anger was heavy. It followed me to work, where I snapped at colleagues over minor issues. It crept into my dreams, turning them into nightmares of failure. And it strained my relationship with Sarah, who kept pushing me to let it go, when all I wanted was to hold on. The cracks in the armor. 2 months after Jake's confession, I hit a breaking point. I'd been pitching Mindhaven to a new batch of investors, but my heart wasn't in it. The app was solid, better than before even, but I was a mess. My hands shook during presentations, my voice cracked, and I could barely sleep. One night, after a particularly brutal rejection, I sat on my apartment floor, surrounded by crumpled notes and empty coffee cups, and cried. Sarah showed up unannounced, as she often did when she sensed I was spiraling. She took one look at me and pulled me into a hug. "Okay, enough," she said firmly. "You're killing yourself over this. Let's get out of here. She dragged me to a pottery class in Fremont, of all places. I thought it was ridiculous, shaping clay while my life fell apart, but Sarah insisted. As I sat at the wheel, my hands covered in wet clay, something shifted. The rhythmic spinning, the quiet focus forced me to slow down. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about Jake or the app. I was just present. The instructor, a woman with gray braids and a calm smile, noticed my wobbly bowl. "It's okay if it's not perfect," she said. "Sometimes the flaws make it beautiful." Her words hit harder than I expected. I wasn't perfect. Jake wasn't perfect. Maybe the flaws in our story didn't have to be the end of it. That night I journaled for the first time, pouring out my anger, my hurt, my confusion. I wrote about Jake's betrayal, but also about the good times, his goofy laugh, his knack for finding the best food trucks, his belief in me when I doubted myself. The memories stung, but they also reminded me of who I'd been before the betrayal. Someone who trusted, who hoped, who loved fiercely. The unexpected encounter. 3 months later, I ran into Jake at a tech conference in San Francisco. I was there to pitch Mindhaven's new mindfulness features, a last-ditch effort to secure funding. The Moscone Center was a sea of suits and laptops, and I was navigating it with a forced smile when I saw him across the hall, laughing with a group of developers. My stomach churned. I wanted to confront him, to scream, to make him feel the pain he'd caused. But my feet stayed rooted to the polished floor. He saw me too. His laughter died, and he excused himself from the group. As he approached, I braced myself, expecting excuses or defensiveness. Instead, he looked broken. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by slouched shoulders and tired eyes. "Emma," he said softly, "can we talk?" I wanted to walk away, but something in his expression, guilt maybe or shame, held me there. 5 minutes, I said, my voice colder than the San Francisco fog. We found a quiet corner near a window overlooking the city. Jake's hands fidgeted with a conference badge as he spoke. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I was jealous, Emma. Your app was brilliant and I felt like a failure. I mentioned it to a coworker thinking it was just talk. But they took it to their team and I didn't stop them. I'm so sorry." His words were a punch to the gut. Jealousy? That was it? My anger flared, but beneath it, something else stirred. Pity maybe, or the faint echo of our old friendship. "You destroyed my dream," I said, my voice shaking. "Do you even understand what you took from me?" "I do," he said, tears in his eyes. "I see it every day. I lost you, Emma. And I hate myself for it. I'll do anything to make it right." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to believe him, but the wound was too raw. "Stay away from me," I said, and walked away, my heart pounding. But as I rejoined the conference, his words lingered. He was hurting too. Did that matter? I wasn't sure. The seed of forgiveness. That encounter shook me. Jake's remorse was real, but it didn't erase the pain. I returned to Seattle, my mind a battlefield of emotions. I couldn't focus on my pitch, my code, my future. Sarah's words echoed. "Don't let his mistake define you." But how could I move forward when the past felt like quicksand? One evening, I wandered to a small church near my apartment in Capitol Hill. I wasn't religious, but the warm glow of candles and the soft hum of an organ drew me in. I sat in a pew, watching the light dance on stained glass windows depicting scenes of compassion. For the first time, I let myself feel the full weight of my pain. Not just the anger, but the grief, the loss of trust, the fear of being hurt again. An older woman, a church volunteer named Margaret, approached. Her gray hair was pulled into a loose bun, and her eyes crinkled with kindness. "You look like you're carrying a burden," she said. "Mind if I sit?" I nodded. She sat beside me, silent for a moment. Then she said, "Pain is like a stone in your heart. You can carry it forever or you can set it down. But setting it down takes courage. How do I do that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Forgiveness isn't for the one who hurt you," she said. "It's for you. It's letting go of the stone so you can walk free again." Her words planted a seed. Forgiveness wasn't about Jake deserving it. It was about me choosing to be free. I left the church that night with a flicker of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, I could find a way forward. The journey inward. Over the next 6 months, I embarked on a journey to understand forgiveness. Not as a single act, but as a process. I dove into books by psychologists like Fred Luskin, whose Forgive for Good taught me that grudges hurt the holder more than the offender. I listened to podcasts by Dr. Robert Enright, who framed forgiveness as a gift to yourself, not a pardon for the betrayer. I journaled obsessively, filling notebooks with my anger, my hurt, my memories of Jake's loyalty before everything went wrong. Sarah was my anchor. She'd drop by with takeout, usually pho from a spot in the International District, and we'd talk for hours. She shared an article by Dr. Kristen Neff about self-compassion, urging me to be kind to myself as I healed. "You're not weak for feeling this," she said one night, slurping noodles. "You're human. And humans mess up. Even Jake." I started meditating by Lake Washington, sitting on a bench as the sun rose over the water. The gentle ripples reminded me that life moves on, that pain doesn't have to be permanent. I practiced gratitude, listing 3 things each day that brought me joy. A good cup of coffee, a breakthrough in my code, Sarah's dumb dad jokes. Slowly, I began to see Jake not as a villain, but as a flawed person like me. I thought about times I'd hurt others, a harsh word to Sarah, a forgotten promise to a friend, and how I'd craved grace. Could I offer that to Jake? Not yet, but the idea was no longer unthinkable. I also leaned on my community. I joined a women's coding meetup where I met Lila, a spunky developer who'd been through her own betrayal, a business partner who'd tanked their startup. Lila's humor and resilience inspired me. "Forgiveness isn't about them," she said over beers at a Fremont brewery. "It's about you not carrying their baggage anymore." The test of time. 9 months after the betrayal, I faced a new challenge. Mindhaven was gaining traction, with a small but growing user base. I'd secured a seed round from a local angel investor, and the app was featured in a Seattle tech blog. But success brought a new fear. What if I was betrayed again? I'd rebuilt my dream, but trust was harder to restore. That fear was tested when I hired a new developer, Marcus, who reminded me of Jake, charming, ambitious, quick with a joke. I found myself second-guessing his every move, checking his commits obsessively, expecting betrayal at every turn. One day Marcus called me out. "Emma, I'm not sure what's going on, but you don't trust me. If I've done something, tell me." His honesty disarmed me. I apologized and over coffee, shared a vague version of Jake's betrayal. Marcus listened and said, "That sucks. But not everyone's like that. Don't let one guy ruin your faith in people." His words echoed Margaret's and Sarah's, reinforcing the lesson I was learning. Forgiveness wasn't just about Jake. It was about reclaiming my ability to trust, to connect, to live without fear. The olive branch. A year after Jake's confession, I saw him again at a mutual friend's wedding in Portland. I'd been dreading it, but I'd prepared myself. I'd been practicing mindfulness, focusing on what I could control. My reactions, my growth, my gratitude for Mindhaven's success. I was healing and I was proud of it. The wedding was at a rustic venue outside Portland, with fairy lights strung across a barn and mason jars filled with wildflowers. I was chatting with Lila when Jake approached, hesitant. His hair was longer, his face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes were clear. "Emma," he said, "I don't expect anything. I just want to say, I'm proud of you. I saw Mindhaven in TechCrunch. You did it." I studied him. He looked older, worn but sincere. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past year. "Thank you," I said. "And I'm working on forgiving you. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying." His eyes widened and he nodded, tears brimming. "That's more than I deserve. Thank you." We didn't become friends again that day, but we talked. About the past, his jealousy, my pain. About our mistakes, his betrayal, my walls. About the people we wanted to become, him a better friend, me someone who could trust again. It was a start, a fragile bridge between us. The ripple effect. Forgiveness didn't stop with Jake. Changed how I saw the world. I became more patient with my team, more open with Sarah, more willing to take risks. Mindhaven grew not just because of the code, but because of the heart I put into it, a heart that was healing. I started volunteering at a local community center, teaching coding to teens from underserved neighborhoods. One of them, a shy girl named Aisha, reminded me of myself at 16. Full of dreams but afraid of failure. I told her about Mindhaven, about the betrayal, about forgiveness. "You can't control what people do," I said. "But you can control who you become." Aisha hugged me that day, and I realized forgiveness had given me more than peace. It had given me purpose. I was no longer just Emma, the betrayed. I was Emma, the builder, the teacher, the survivor, the freedom of letting go. 2 years after Jake's betrayal, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment in Queen Anne, overlooking Seattle's glittering skyline. Mindhaven was thriving with thousands of users and a feature on NPR's tech segment. But the real victory wasn't the app. It was the woman I'd become. I'd forgiven Jake, not because he earned it, but because I needed to. The stone in my heart was gone, replaced by peace. Jake and I aren't close now, but we're civil. He's working at a nonprofit trying to make amends in his own way. I wish him well, not out of obligation, but because I've learned that holding on to hate hurts me more than anyone. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it gave me a future. It taught me that trust can be rebuilt, not just with others but with myself. I looked out at the city, the Space Needle glowing against the starry sky. The rain had stopped, and the air was crisp with possibility. For the first time in years I felt free. Expert tips on forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing, supported by psychological research and spiritual traditions. Here are tips from experts to guide the process. Acknowledge the pain. Dr. Fred Luskin. Recognize and feel your hurt without judgment. Suppressing emotions can prolong suffering. Journaling or talking to a trusted friend can help. Reframe the narrative. Dr. Robert Enright. See the person who hurt you as human, capable of mistakes. This doesn't excuse their actions but reduces their power over you. Practice self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff. Treat yourself with kindness as you heal. Meditation or affirmations can reinforce your worth independent of the betrayal. Set boundaries. Dr. Everett Worthington. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. Protect yourself by setting clear limits with the person who hurt you. Focus on what you control. Luskin. You can't change the past, but you can choose how to respond. Gratitude exercises like listing 3 things you're thankful for daily. Shift focus to the present. Seek support. Enright therapy, support groups, or spiritual guidance can provide tools and perspective. Forgiveness is personal, but you don't have to do it alone. Be patient. Worthington. Forgiveness is a journey, not a moment. Allow yourself time to process and celebrate small steps toward letting go. By integrating these practices, you can reclaim peace and move forward with strength.